I wanted to give a non-stream, fillerless version of my answer to why men have a difficult time getting, uh, I guess, success with women, or when they approach them, they don't really find themselves hearing yes that often. And the short answer is that women like what they like, and if you don't fit those characteristics to a T, very slim chance of it happening. Now, does that mean everybody's the same? No. Um, but to the person who goes out and talks with dozens of them, such as myself, they can start appearing to be very similar. And I want to kind of break it down like this. A lot of times when you go and you have these constant rejections, whether it's in person or online, you do one of two things. You either start watching these advice places, so an advice blog, advice videos, or you lower your confidence. When you lower your confidence, it very much is congruent to a scenario. Because, see, a lot of times people like to forget, for as much as we preach about equality and, things being the same, and we have all of these similar characteristics, yada, 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 we have a part of us that tries to be logical in moments of despair. So, for example, a lot of guys who say, "Oh, this isn't going to happen," are not by default negative and thinking that the whole world is going to go to crap. They just have concluded after a series of attempts that it won't work, and this becomes an even more nightmare scenario when you go out and you implement what you believe are things that these places are telling you to do. And it gets really frustrating as the male to do these things and see no difference, but then have people, say, "Oh, well, you just didn't try this, or it's X, Y, and Z." And also, let me elaborate on this. The reason that that is the case, because one of the biggest deterrents for continuing to talk about this is not because the purpose behind this stuff, discussing it and letting it just be out there, was so that people who were also afflicted by this would feel as if they weren't alone. Because my greatest motivator for continuing is the fact that I've known many men who I thought were worth a damn that were treated poorly by women, in my opinion. And that's their decision to treat them that way. But I don't think they're worthless because they had trouble with with the current model of relationships. But nonetheless, much of the response to this video is going to be people, and this is something that's very common. You will have people write out responses, and they will, examine how I look, examine what my hobbies are. These people who don't know you besides, a 10, 15-minute video per day, oftentimes even shorter than that, but yet they have this window into your soul. But the reason they're doing that is not because they believe themselves to be experts or to have all the answers. They're doing it because they want to adhere to their own narrative, which is that if you don't follow the person who is discussing this as characteristics or behavior pattern or look like me, everything will be different for you. When in reality, you have many of people who aren't into what I like, politics or drawing or anything of that nature, and yet they still find themselves in the same scenario. And when you mention this to them, it almost short circuits their brains. And sure enough, you've had people who in many cases, if you go and look at the comment sections of a lot of this stuff, do not attempt to rebut the points that the person made. See, because I don't turn on this camera to just stare at myself for 10 or 15 minutes. It's designed to where I can talk about this and air out an opinion that you might not get that often. A lot of these places like to offer you false hope, and I'm cutting through the nonsense. Now, is there a possibility? Of course. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Women, if they want a guy, will go to that guy. But I'm telling you based off of my experience. And keep in mind that Benjamin Franklin quote: "Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see." So all these people that are telling me, "Oh," versus what you've seen, which is that out of the dozens of women I've approached, and I do, 30, 40, whatever, I can count on one hand how many I came up to and actually, indicated romantic interest or whatever. And both of them changed their mind after the fact. Um, it was actually kind of funny. I realized that in the cases where it actually turned out to be something somewhat serious, it was someone who came to my stuff, left me a message, and sure enough, did not waver in their, I guess, commitment, for lack of a better term, as in they knew what they wanted basically, and women know what they want, and when they want a man, they go to the man, and that's why those encounters tend to not be filled with such will she or won't she in the guy's mind, because he has confidence that this person wants to be around him because they keep coming back, or they started it. But nonetheless, I wanted to also break down a couple of, see, people already, this is kind of funny. When I do these, I oftentimes think of comments that have been left in the past. So someone said, "Oh my God, 12 minutes was so long," even though which, that's nonsense. All of these guys have watched 1 hour and a half films multiple times. So, they're not on any kind of time crunch. But nonetheless, a lot of people don't want to discuss these things, and I understand them. The backlash, for whatever reason, from males. You would think it would be from women who would be upset, but I guess not. Um, but what bothers me is the fact that so often it seems people forget a very basic concept. See, all this stuff that women don't want to hear how you feel about this. Women, blah, 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 blah. Understand something, and I'm speaking to hopefully males, and that is the fact that you are human. And I tried to explain this to the guys that I've seen have the same problem as me. You are a person who feels angry at times, happy at times, sad at times. These are all emotions that any person, regardless of what they have in between their legs, is going to get at a point or another. And the fact that you have people who are trying to tell you, do not speak about these. So it'd be different if I went on here and I started screaming and losing my mind on camera. But this is a fairly calm, um, reserved way of discussing this. I'm attempting to speak on this without, while admitting whatever faults I may have. But the fact that you have people who will tell you, um, when you have a person that you want to be your partner, the person that's going to be with you the most of anybody, if they last long enough, completely cut off the fact that you are not always confident, that you have times where things seem bothersome to you. That is absolutely insane. And there's no getting around that. Yes, no one wants to have someone that every time, every day, oh, they have this disillusion or whatever. But again, we all don't stay happy the whole day or sad the whole day. So it's a bunch of nonsense. And that was really what reinvigorated my attempts to I guess push back against a lot of the drivel. But yeah, I hope I answered the question. And this is, people need to get out of their heads that this is all just negative. It's, look, if a woman wants a guy and the guy wants the woman, it works. But in the case of today, where you have women who literally will post on faceless social media forms, I want 6, 7, 8 things from the guy. You oftentimes find people who aren't willing to compromise. And one of the things that I've spoken about this one woman more than probably anybody else was this one I talked with for 3 months last year. Um, she did not meet my quote unquote religious standards. She was a religion I'm not particularly, just, it's not ideal, but whatever. It was something that I tolerated because I liked her personality. She seemed to be sophisticated. Let's put it that way. And she came on my stuff. And what happened when I tried to tell her that I want to do something further? Oh, this won't work. Yada yada yada. X, Y, and Z. Literally every time you turn on the phone with her, it seemed like it was a different reason. And it really was nonsensical to me, because a lot of people will say, this person doesn't really want you to leave them alone. But why would they call you and talk with you every day? Um, and in reality, what ended up being the case was that her words were different, but all of the same issues that were there with the ones who, wasted my time were applicable to her as well. And what I'm trying to get people to digest here is the fact that you have so many individuals who feel a need to change who they are to fit whatever characteristics they think are going to make somebody like them. And I really wanted to believe that if you just tried to talk with someone a certain way, if you wore this kind of thing, and this is again another problem that comes from people who are trying to exercise the window into your soul mentality. You're going to get comments, and this is what ended up happening. You had where most of the comments are either about the title or they're about how the person looks. And the reason for that, I didn't actually go into this a little bit earlier, is because people have moved away from logic, and it's gotten to where both a lot of men and a lot of women are emotional. Now, the logic that people should use is that if we have a certain level of things we like, it doesn't matter how much you amend them, it's not going to make the other person do the same. That should be a very simple thing for them to follow. But instead, you get, oh no, if you just wear this shirt and if you just then it'll all change over. And this is nonsensical. But they get people to buy into this stuff so often, and it's almost laughable after. And I would laugh if it hadn't if this toxic environment of people insulting someone because they said they were tired of a you know arc of romantic disillusion wasn't going on. So I guarantee you, all of the comments about how I look and all this other nonsense, don't buy it, because I can guarantee you this: people who don't look like me have the same issue. People who don't have the same hobbies as me have the same issue. Um, and that's not said to boast or to make myself, look like the average Joe. It's the fact that this is becoming a commonality. And people have actually said, just accept it, just get over it. And I'm not going to get over it, because I don't think it should be this hard to find a female partner that you enjoy the presence of and actually like the way they happen to look. And this is something that women have the luxury of all the time. So it almost feels laughable when you have people who will come on content such as mine and then write this nonsense to me, especially when I've gotten to a point where I very rarely, if ever, directly respond, because I know I'm just talking to a brick wall who's here to serve their own agenda. They don't want to believe that what I'm saying has any substance to it, even though it does, and it's been proven by people in their own lives, people who've left comments here. So it's sad, it's ridiculous, and it feels like it will never end. But we've all tried, as I've tried for years. Sometimes those efforts go rewarded, very rarely, but sometimes they do. But look, don't see this scenario as something that's just the worst thing ever, even though it does suck. You have to go out and change what you can. When I made the "Why Don't Approach Anymore" video, that was designed to say that, and yet for some reason people dedicate themselves in the comment section to talking about your hair, your shirt, your background, all of this nonsense. And they're doing that because they don't know how to do anything else. That is their strength. So it is what it is. But thank you for watching, and have a good day. And again, don't fret over other people's ridiculousness, because somebody might come along that actually has a goal and they might align with yours. Very slim chance of happening, but it could always appear. So thank you.